Thank
Thank you.
you. Now it is my pleasure to introduce the next section of our webinar, which will be a panel discussion organized by Applied Silver. And leading that will be Mr. Tom Klein. Tom Klein is going to just introduce the panel and talk a little bit about what his role is with Applied Silver. Tom, as many of you know, was the past president of the Hotel Council. He did a marvelous job during that time. Tom was also a senior vice president for Fairmont Hotels. He worked out of the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco on Nob Hill and was a regional, oversaw and managed the other Fairmont properties in the West Coast region. And one of the things I'd like to say about Tom that's extraordinary from my tenure of the Hotel Council is Tom dedicated himself to the community. He was a really sincere, unique community, a partner. Wherever he went, he reached out to see what were the nonprofits, what were the ways that the Fairmont team could engage with the community to help in their mission, to help nonprofits, to partner with worthy organizations and bring the Fairmont support to those organizations. And I think he did an extraordinary job at that. He's noted for that. And I think he kind of set a standard that is many of our hotel general managers do that indeed, but he sure did it with stripes and really with a lot of passion. And I thank you for that, Tom. So Tom, take it away.
Thank you so much, Kelly, and thank you also, Kevin, for putting this together. You know, this is an interesting time in the industry, and you know, it's great to be back here. I'm actually sitting at the Fairmont over in Berkeley, the Fairmont Hotel. I love this property as well. You know, and it's great to be back here for a few days. And, you know, the one thing I can say, I never thought we'd be having a Zoom call about cleanliness. And it's quite amazing how the times have changed. And I'm now also glad I'm not in the day-to-day hospitality industry, as a lot of my friends still are, and dealing what is a really very difficult time. You know, I certainly miss the Bay Area, but you know, what is really prevalent today is the uncertainty in the industry. The last 8-9 months have certainly changed the way that we think and what we do, and we're having to learn to do more with less. You know, and keeping our guests and colleagues in a clean and safe and welcoming environment. And that's why I think it's you know, so great that we're having this call today, because you know, over the past few months, I've been working with a lot of my colleagues and doing some consulting and sitting on various panels. And the topic of, you know, how do we get through this? When do we get through this? And I don't think anybody really knows. And if they do, you know, they're only guessing at this point. But, you know, that whole paradigm thinking shift about our business and, you know, travel and peace of mind and health and safety, you know, being the top priority, is a discussion that we just cannot avoid. And this is where Applied Silver came forward. And I was introduced to Applied Silver by Debbie Shepard, who I'll introduce in a moment. And, you know, somebody said early on, you know, this is a new and innovative technology. And ladies and gentlemen, it is really not new. Is it innovative? Yes, definitely innovative. Is it applicable to what we're doing today in the hospitality industry? Absolutely. And I'm not going to, you know, get to the details of that, but because we have experts on this panel that are going to speak specifically to that. But one thing that I can tell you, and, you know, it's prevalent here where I am, you know, at the Fairmont and a lot of the other brands and hotels, is how do we instill a level of safety and confidence into the consumer, and how do we get our guests back into the hotels, protect the guests, protect the colleagues. And Applied Silver through Silva Clean have a unique product that I personally believe all of us in the industry should consider. This is not one of those products that you can feel, smell, and touch. This is a product that has been proven. It is microbial. It is silver. We've talked, silver's been around and in the application in chemical and fabrics and protecting and preventing. And somebody spoke about prevention before. This is all about prevention of germs and diseases. We can't see COVID-19 or germs and things like that. So, you know, please take note. You know, I think this is a terrific product. and a terrific company that's certainly been in the hospital space, but has yet to be fully embedded into the hospitality space. And we won't cover it all in the next 30-45 minutes, but I encourage you all to follow up with Debbie and the team that you'll meet. And look, it's great to be here. I am an advisor with the team of Applied Silva, and really look forward to working with them in the space. So I'm going to introduce Debbie. Debbie I've known now for a little while and gotten to know her much better over the last month or so, but she's managing director of her own consulting firm, Shepherd Consulting. Has, you know, spent 25 plus minus years in multiple sectors of the hospitality industry, both in international tourism industry, including on-property, above-property, corporate, global sales roles, key account management, operations, recruiting, marketing, events, representation, such brands as Hilton Worldwide, Caesars Entertainment, and Tourism Toronto, and currently also sits on the Applied Silva Hospitality Advisory Board. So, Deb, I'm going to turn it over to you, and let's show everybody out there what Applied Silva is all about.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. And yeah, we're very excited to have you on the advisory board and work with you. So thank you for that. So hello, everyone, today. Welcome to today's discussion on establishing the premier cleanliness standard in hospitality. Today, we're going to talk about the science behind the cleanliness gap regarding linens and soft surface contamination and hygiene, and an innovative approach using a novel technology that addresses infection concerns of today and into the future, helping to close that cleanliness gap. But before I get started in introducing the panelists, I'd like to first say thank you to the Hotel Council of San Francisco for their partnership and the opportunity to share this time with you all today. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so please be sure to submit your questions in the Q&A box. And as well, this session will be recorded and we'll share that after the session today. So let's get started. Today we have a panel of innovative and forward-thinking subject matter experts within infection prevention, hospitality, and wellness to discuss how we can leverage cutting-edge science and technology to really move beyond the status quo. So with that, our first panelist is Dr. Priya Balachandran, and Priya is the Applied Silva's Chief Operating Officer. She's also an accomplished health technology executive with experience in commercializing disruptive innovations in healthcare, biopharmaceuticals, sports medicine, and consumer products. Her experience extends from small to large technology companies with global footprints. A scientist and microbiologist by training, Dr. Balachandran completed her postdoctoral fellowship at the University of California, San Francisco. So welcome, Dr. Balachandran.
Thank you.
We also have, thank you. So we also have Dr. Trace Ritter. He is a nationally recognized board certified physician in infectious diseases and internal medicine. He is also the managing director of Central Coast Infectious Diseases Consultants and the medical director of the infection control programs for 5 California Central Coast hospitals. Dr. Ritter was invited to be an advisor for Applied Silva because of his knowledge of the impact of Silva Clean and the market requirements set forth for infectious disease clinicians, excuse me, because of his belief in what the company is doing and the results Silva Clean produces, he has made a small personal investment in the company. So last but certainly not least, we have Ian Williams. He is the current NBC Bay Area sports analyst and former professional football player with the San Francisco 49ers and knows about infections firsthand. After suffering from 2 ankle fractures while playing in the NFL, bacterial infections complicated his recovery and ultimately ended his NFL career. As a sports ambassador for Applied Silva, Ian champions the mission and vision of Applied Silva to create a cleaner and healthier world. So, as you all know, so I'm sorry, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it. So, as we all know, wellness and infection prevention is top of mind for everyone, like never before due to the pandemic. And everyone is paying more attention to hygiene and cleanliness. So, Tom, tell us what you're hearing out there in the wellness and spa community and some of the biggest challenges and changes since that have been implemented since COVID. And what do you think is here to stay?
Well, look, I think hygiene and cleanliness standards are clearly here to stay for the future. I think, some of the things that are being implemented today are really practices that will become the new norm in the industry. Look, I recently, having just finished 4 or 5 years in the health and wellness space, I really understand, some of the science and behind hygiene and cleanliness and how do we maintain it on a sustainable basis. So, one of the biggest challenges that we're going to face is, number one, is really educating our colleagues in the workplace of how do we get the standards, how do we implement the standards, and how do we hold each other accountable and making sure that we follow the protocols and we follow the protocols succinctly. And what new and innovative resources are we tapping into to be able to instill that level of confidence in the consumer as they hit book my room now, that room and any touch point within that particular destination has been treated appropriately and in a safe manner when they can. Look, I've just spent the week on the road in the hotels, and some great hotels, and it's different out there, ladies and gentlemen. We all know that wearing masks, the colleagues feel uncomfortable, but I always wanted to make sure that I had sanitizer. And if we can instill that level of confidence into the consumer across the board, we will start to relax a little bit more out in the workplace. The whole thought process of educating the consumer, educating and building confidence into the consumer is mission critical. I think the mental wellness, not only of our colleagues and the guests alike, is of paramount importance. And the challenges I face with my friends, and I've been in this industry 4 decades. How do we monetize this? How do we really do more with less and still provide an acceptable, economically driven bottom line to our respective partners and owners, without compromising the level of service, and then maintain that loyalty and instill a level of confidence where they'll say, yes, that brand, that hotel really takes my stay serious, and they proactively, and I want to emphasize the word proactively, not being the followers, but continue to innovate and make sure that the hotel I'm staying at, or resort, or whatever, wellness center, whatever it might be, really as hygienically clean as possible. Because you don't see it. It's like the COVID, it's like the germ, you don't see it. So there's a sense of uneasiness there. So it is that training and education and making sure that we're doing everything we can on a proactive basis. And quite frankly, I think it's set a new level of standards that will be sustainable for the long term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. To your point, restoring the guest and team member confidence is paramount right now, and getting us, and people wanting to travel again. And hotel companies have, created those enhanced cleaning protocols and formed partnerships with those well-known brands such as Clorox, Lysol, and Ecolab to help with that. But personally, I've noticed a gap just from my perspective that, the protocols, most of them are focused on those hard surfaces. But what about, the soft surfaces and those towels, things that are closest to us? So, Dr. Balachandran, can you talk to us more about the soft surface cleanliness gap from a scientific perspective?
Sure. So soft surfaces include items such as linens, towels, blankets, pillows, uniforms, etc. And these become contaminated with use. Soft surfaces are an intimate part of our daily routine, and they are a risk area. They get contaminated continuously as items get used by people, because people are the source of germs and infection. So this contamination could range from a mild odor-causing bacteria to dangerous viruses such as norovirus or SARS-CoV-2, which we're all facing right now. And in fact, a recent CDC study looked at a couple of COVID-19 positive patients that were quarantined in hotel rooms. And then after the fact, they went and did some environmental sampling. They looked at samples at various hard surfaces as well as soft surfaces, and in fact found very high levels of SARS-CoV-2 presence on all the soft surfaces that they tested. So this brings up a really important point and the gap that you mentioned. Currently, soft surface items are used for a certain length of time, and then they get decontaminated through a standard laundry process. This leaves a gap because in reality, the minute we pull these items out of the dryer, they come out clean. However, they're at risk for recontamination almost right away. And in fact, it is these recontaminated soft surfaces that serve to spread that contamination, those dangerous germs, to other surfaces and to other individuals.
Interesting. So what I'm hearing is that contamination is a continuous process, basically. So really what we need is a solution that's continuous as well, in conjunction with what we're doing.
Yeah, that's correct.
Interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that explanation of soft surfaces and contamination. So with that, Dr. Ritter, what are the risks soft surfaces pose in terms of infections in general?
Of course. Well, thank you for inviting me to join your group this morning. It's a pleasure to be here. As you said, I'm an infectious disease doctor, and so a big part of that is not just taking care of people who have infections, but doing our best to prevent infections. And this is in the healthcare arena, which is has a lot of parallels to hotels and other hospitality parts of our lives. And so we've for years and anything we can to prevent people from getting infected while they're in the hospital, because they've changed the way that reimbursement happens in the hospital, such that if somebody gets an infection while they're in the hospital, we don't get paid for it anymore. And so, meaning if they have to stay longer, we don't get paid. And so we're looking always at different strategies to prevent infections in the hospital. And we realized that soft surfaces, which are fomites, meaning something that's an inanimate object that can transmit germs from one person to another, those were a neglected part of our strategy in infection control. And this was a novel technology that we found to be very helpful in that arena, because we know that germs spread from person to person, but also from the person to another part of their body, meaning it can go from a part of their body and then contaminate a recently area of their body that they had an operation on. So,
wow. Okay. So how does that translate to the hospitality industry?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of parallels, and that we've learned that that soft surfaces are fomites, and there's a lot of medical data supporting that. And we realize that if this is something that we care about in hospitals to prevent infections, I think it has implications for other industries as well, where people are in contact with soft surfaces that are not their own.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So, Ian's here, and he has a really Ian, you have an interesting story. You were with the San Francisco 49ers team during their Super Bowl run in 2013, and you suffered a pretty bad ankle injury and had to have surgery. So can you tell us, what happened after your surgery?
Yeah, so after my surgery, I had a plate and 2 screws put into my ankle back in 2013. And from the screw site, I eventually started to, have like fevers and chills. And eventually I got taken into the hospital, and there was I got diagnosed with a staph infection in the surgery site, undetermined to where it came from, because, I'm in the facility, the sports facility in the hospital, I'm at home. So kind of undetermined, but yeah. Just dealt with the staph infection back in 2013, and then recovered from it. And then eventually it came back in 2016. And that's when I had to have a career-ending surgery, had an external fixator put on because the infection had got into the bone, and they had to chip off a little bit of the inside of the bone too. So it was just total reconstruction of the ankle joint. So I know, pretty much, how effective, staph and MRSA can be to the body.
Well, thank you for sharing your story, and I'm sorry that happened to you, but we appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your story with us. So thank you. You know, I recently came across Applied Silver, this company, maybe about 6 to 8 weeks ago, and their innovation just made a lot of sense to me in the context of what we're facing in our industry today, in the hospitality industry. So, you know, the way that they use science and technology really excited me because I knew it could absolutely be applied in the hospitality space. And so, like Tom mentioned earlier, you know, they're not new to the game. They've been in the hospital and pro sports and sports medicine space for quite a few years now. We just don't know about it here in the hospitality industry yet. So, but they have moved over. And so even before COVID-19, they have been in that space. So in fact, Ronnie Lott is actually one of their advisors, and you all may know him as well. So, so Dr. Balachandran, can you give us a brief overview of the innovation around Silva Clean, which is Applied Silver's core technology, and why Silver?
Yeah, absolutely. So Applied Silva's vision and mission is to create a cleaner and healthier world. And the way we do this is by addressing surfaces that are closest to us, that is soft surfaces. Silva Clean's innovation harnesses the natural antimicrobial properties of silver. Now, silver is an equal opportunity killer. It equally affects bacteria, mold, mildew, and viruses. And in fact, has been used in the medical setting for centuries now. The hospitality industry may be familiar with silverware, which historically those items were made of silver. And they did so because it has these antimicrobial, broad spectrum antimicrobial properties. So the way Silva Clean works, we have a slide here that shows it. The way it works is very simple. When fabrics are rinsed with Silva Clean, Silva Clean's ionic silver infuses textiles with their chemistry, and the regular fabrics get converted into antimicrobial fabrics. Now, these fabrics, as shown on the right here with the silver balls or silver ions, they can now kill germs continuously anytime these germs come in contact with the fabric. So, for example, it could be a guest using a towel, pulls open a curtain, or breathes into a pillow. So by having this sort of a continuous action on the textiles, on the fabrics, you not only reduce the number of germs that are present on these fabrics, but you also reduce their spread onto the environment. So why don't we show that with a little illustration on the next slide. So take this example here. In this example, I'm showing a towel. When the towel comes out of the laundry process, it's clean, it's germ-free. And as we use that towel, the germ load on it builds up. This is shown by these little purple spots here. And the germ load towards the end of that use cycle increases, and with it, there is an increase in the risk of infections shown with this red line at the bottom. And this is when we really throw it back into the laundry for another wash cycle. So Dan, if you can advance the slide. Thank you. So when Silva Clean is included as part of this process, because there are silver ions that are present on the towel throughout its use cycle, these germs are not allowed to build up. So they stay at this low level, and shown by the blue line at the bottom, the dotted blue line. So essentially what you do is you're greatly reducing that risk that comes from use of these items, towels being one such example. And this is really what we're talking about, is reduction of that risk. And in addition to providing this benefit, Silva Clean also reduces odor because those are also caused by microbes, and it also reduces static.
Interesting. So what you're saying is that this technology really just works in a continuous way behind the scenes after the wash, after being laundered. So as an example, I guess I could use is that, the hotels have a lot of cleaning crews that come in right now, multiple times a day, wiping down elevator buttons, wiping down the front desk, all those high touch points. So what you're saying is this automatically, when it does it by itself, it automatically works behind the scenes, so by itself, and no one has to be hands-on this technology while it's working?
Yeah, that's correct. So think of the Silver Ions as that cleaning crew, except it's working 24/7 on these soft surfaces.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So how is the technology, how is that Silva Clean technology installed?
Yeah, so Silva Clean is delivered through a smart technology platform. That platform looks like a little purple suitcase about the size of a carry-on suitcase. And it is very easy to implement. It can be installed either on an on-premise laundry, or it can even be installed in a commercial laundry setting that services multiple businesses. And I think the critical point really is it uses existing linens. And so anything that's already available to you that you're already using can be treated by Silva Clean and converted to have these antimicrobial properties. So once it's installed, it's pretty much hands off. And it works behind the scenes, as you pointed out. It works behind the scenes continuously to reduce that germ level so that not only do you have cleaner fabrics, but as a result of that, you have a cleaner environment, and that results in a reduced risk of infections.
So it cleans the textiles or the fabrics, but it also is cleaning that environment around it. So it's just a cleaner environment in general.
That's correct.
That's pretty amazing. So I know that that it's and understand that Silva Clean is EPA approved. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Right. So the technology has multiple patents, and it's also clinically validated. We've used it for a number of years. Many customers have been using the product now. And it is EPA registered and has unique public health claims. And what I mean by that is that Silva Clean kills pathogens or disease-causing germs. And recently, third-party researchers demonstrated that Silva Clean is effective against SARS-CoV-2, which causes the pandemic that we're all facing, as well as norovirus, which everybody in the hospitality industry knows that that has always been a problem virus, and it's actually a really tough virus to kill.
Well, thank you for that explanation. That's really exciting that this technology is out here now and available to us. So, Dr. Ritter, we'd love to hear a little bit more from you on your, you've implemented Silva Clean technology now for several years in your hospitals. So tell us what drove you to adopt the technology and the benefits it's provided to your patients.
Sorry, I was taking care of patient care there. Yeah. So what we saw was that we had, again, as I mentioned before, there was a gap in what we were doing. We took care of hard surfaces, we took care of everything else, getting hand hygiene compliance, and this was a neglected part of what we were doing. And so we were able to implement this across 3 of our 5 hospitals while using the other 2 as controls, and we saw a significant decline in during that implementation phase. And then we were able to introduce the technology into the 2 remaining hospitals and did see similar reductions at that time as well.
Thank you. I'm thinking of if this would have been at the hospital or the facility that Ian was in during his surgery, it could have resulted in a different outcome. So Ian, can you tell us a little bit about your belief in the product like Silva Clean and how it could help other people and why you're so passionate about it?
Well, for one, being in the hospital, I've seen, been in ICU. I've been in the hospital for a long period of time, so I see, the cleaning methods daily. I know, the gown that I wear, the sheets that I'm on, the curtains, like just everything, you know, certain things, you know, sometimes, you know, you just don't get around to. And, you know, obviously, you know, a product like Silva Clean is something that, you know, can be easily treated with it. So you don't have to get into every nook and crevice of everything. You can just put it in the wash and it cleans everything. And then with the sports side of it, you know, just having it in the locker room, you know, guys are just so worried about, you know, either studying film or on the practice field or this or that. You're not truly worrying about something that you can't see, and that's germs. And obviously, you know, the teams are doing a great job. The few teams that we have right now, you know, the product's been, you know, working great for them. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, players don't even realize that this product is silently working for them as they're out on the practice fields and they're out on the game fields. And, you know, guys are, you know, pretty much for the most part being healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you know, it's really, like you mentioned, it's an invisible problem we have, but this is an invisible solution. So, you know,
Exactly.
It's not something you can, you know, touch and whatnot. You can't smell it, but it is continuously working. So thank you for that. And so Priya, you know, I wanted to ask you too, I know some of your customers are using, you know, Silva Clean as their protocols, COVID-19 protocols. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how they're leveraging your technology?
Yeah. So certainly COVID-19 is the age of PPE, with everyone wearing face masks and, you know, additional layers of protection. And as we've come through the last several months of COVID-19, you know, obviously businesses are looking at much more sustainable solutions to address the PPE need. And our customers are using reusable cloth-based PPEs, but are able to leverage the technology that they have access to, which is Silva Clean. And by treating all their PPE with Silva Clean, they have that added layer of protection. And now with our data demonstrating the efficacy against SARS-CoV-2, that gives them that additional confidence that they are able to do everything they can to keep their staff and their community safe.
Yeah, I can see that, you know, and I could even see this in the hospitality space being used for housekeeping uniforms or, you know, team member uniforms. You know, as they're going from room to room, you know, things can get on their uniforms or on their mask as they're touching them and going about their day. So this could probably help with that as well by minimizing the risk of spreading those infections as they're moving about.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. This kind of concludes the end of the panelist part, but we would love to hand it over to Kelly. She's going to give some of the audience questions for the panel to answer. And so, Kelly, over to you.
Yes, we have 3 questions right now, which I'll pose in order. Has Applied Silva received any commitments from the hospitality laundry facilities in the Bay Area?
Yeah, in fact, we have been in discussion with the Bay Area laundry facilities and have had a number of discussions. We partner with them as service partners, and they are more than excited to support you should you decide to have further discussions with us. And then beyond the Bay Area, we have the system installed in multiple commercial laundries that service multiple businesses out of single facilities.
Great. Next question. What are the potential environmental impacts of Silva Clean?
Yeah, so Silva Clean is EPA approved. So there is heavy oversight from the Environmental Protection Agency here. And as part of the due diligence that they do before they give us the registration to market the product, they look very carefully at all different aspects, environmental aspects of Silva Clean, and in our case, silver. And specifically, I would say that one of the areas they look at is effluent, because this is Silva Clean is added as part of a laundry process. And so that is part of that due diligence, and effluent levels, silver effluent levels for businesses that use Silva Clean are well below any kind of the alert limits that are set forth by departments of public works. And in fact, many of our customers in California have been using the product for a number of years. And as you all know, California has some of the strictest rules and regulations around environmental impact.
Great. We have a lot of questions coming in. Is there a risk of allergic reaction to Silva Clean?
There isn't.
Silver that's in Silva Clean. Thank you.
Yeah, there isn't. And the reason for that is Silva Clean uses a pure silver, ionic form of silver, and that has no allergic reactions. If you do hear about allergies to silver, that's usually when silver is present as an alloy along with a nickel or some other metal. And in fact, now we've been using the product, or customers have been using the product for a number of years in healthcare settings, including pediatric wards, immunocompromised wards, and these are patients that have sensitive skin, and there are no reported allergies with Silva Clean.
Next question, thank you. How does Silva Clean compare to other cleaning and infection control technologies? And an addendum, how long does Silva Clean last once it's applied?
Sure. So Silva Clean is a residual or a continuous antimicrobial agent that is delivered through soft surfaces. So in that case, it is different from other disinfectants, which are what you call the one-time kill. So think about bleach or a detergent where you would apply that product for a short amount of time. Maybe it would be minutes, you spray it on, and then you have to take it away. The reason for that is these agents are powerful and they kill almost instantly, but they're also caustic, so you have to take them away. Silva Clean works in a slightly different way. It is a much gentler, environmentally friendly antimicrobial, and it kills continuously. And for that reason, it is able to stay on the textiles throughout its use and is able to provide that antimicrobial activity throughout its use.
So in terms of time in a laundry service for the hospitality industry, is that 2 months, 3 months? How long is the usage per the laundry system?
Yeah, so the way Silva Clean works is we dose, the technology doses Silva Clean at every laundry cycle. So just like you have a detergent cycle, you have a heat cycle, Silva Clean is rinsed in at every laundry cycle. And when the laundry goes back for re-laundering, it gets re-injected again. And because we're able to use regular laundry, we're able to maintain that efficacy of the product through this strategy of dosing during every rinse cycle. And so from that aspect, it would be every laundering. And then for items that are in storage, for example, if you want to have an excess stock, a safety stock, and put that away, then if it's not used and it's in storage, then Silva Clean is very stable. And in fact, stored items have a stability of 4+ years.
Great. In terms of, now back to the environmental impact, is there any green seal or Department of Environment approval? And I know that I did have one question from one of the GMs of the downstream water usage. What does applied silver, how does it impact the downstream water?
Right. So yes, we are EPA approved. We are an EPA approved product. So we do have the EPA registration and certification for marketing the product and selling the product. And to go back to your other question around downstream effects, it's, as I explained, the downstream effects are minimal and are audited by the EPA process in the businesses that use Silva Clean. And there are no issues as such because those levels are so low. And the reason for that is we're using the purest ionic form of silver. So we have to use very small amounts to get the impact that we are able to provide.
Okay. Next question. Can this be applied on surfaces or just linens and terry?
This can be applied on all surfaces that can go through the laundry process. So all soft surfaces that can go through, that can be laundered, can be treated with Silva Clean.
Great. Next question. Can Priya clarify which hospitality laundry facilities have Silva Clean installed in their plants for use, or are they waiting for a critical mass of hoteliers to request the service?
Yeah, it's a great question, and there's a two-part answer to that. The first is we do have several commercial laundry facilities that have Silva Clean installed across different geographies in the US. And these are facilities that service both hospitals as well as hospitality, some large commercial laundries. And then specifically in terms of the Bay Area, yes, we would love to see that critical mass, and we do have the support of your local laundries. We've already spoken to them, and they would be happy to provide the service at your request.
Great, you're getting a lot of questions. Follow up to the question regarding commercial laundries. This sounds great, but unless the commercial laundry services like Royal, and I know you know Royal, start using Silva Clean, there's no way for an individual property without an in-house laundry to implement this technology. Is that correct?
Can I jump into that, Kelly?
Sure.
If you don't mind, because I know time is running out. You know, putting on my Hoteliers hat, and you know, I see a lot of friends that are on this call, and I would only encourage, for the sake of time, given the number and the really good questions that are coming up on the chat line. Indeed, we are talking to the Ecolabs and the laundries, and I totally appreciate and respect that question. And we will get them on board, and it's an education process that we're working through at the moment. And you know, any support we can get from the industry as well, relative to what Silva Clean is all about. You know, when we reach out to them, and the education for yourselves as the use of this product, I cannot stress enough that because you can't see it and smell it and touch it, and the guests just come in and use your towel and the linens and the bed sheets and put on their uniforms, the application of this process in a proactive and a preventive way is something that is unique and needs to be educated. And how do we educate the consumer? If you can imagine, hey, when you're staying at my hotel, you're staying with Local Pace up on Nob Hill, and there's a piece of collateral there that says your linen is being treated by Silva Clean. And I tell you, it just lets down a whole sense of, oh, wow, how cool is that? And there's a nominal cost in this whole thing, but the added value of giving that comfort and safety to the security of your guest. And as Dr. Ritter said, you know, in the hospital, it is a proactive means of communication and reducing the risk of spread of disease. And we are in an environment with this pandemic where we need to be proactive in addressing those issues. And I still cringe at Ian's story, because look what we could have prevented. So,
right. And so we are up against the clock here. I would just like to say thank you to all of the panelists. I would invite you to take the tour like I did. I'm sure they would offer it to you. The tour was extraordinary. We typically don't do this, but this is a patented new technology that I think is really has a bright future in front of it. Obviously, it's been vetted by sports teams that they work with now, NFL teams, hospitals, high-level hospitals, and they're moving into the hospitality industry. So Priya, finally, could you just tell us, how can people get in contact with you if they'd like to learn more about the cost structure and how they might adopt and just learn more about it or take a tour?
Absolutely. Debbie, I think you had that last slide.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our contact information, and I would encourage everyone that has questions or wants to learn more about Applied Silva and their innovative technology, Silva Clean, to reach out to us. We will definitely, you know, get you all the information you need for you and your stakeholders. As well, you know, Applied Silva's over in Hayward, and so like Kelly mentioned, you know, definitely we would love to invite anyone who would want to come over and see the facility, take a look at the technology, and just learn more. Just reach out to us, Priya or myself, and we will definitely arrange that. And you know, with that, we have some. We understand what the hospitality industry is going through right now and the challenges, and we do have some early adopter, you know, some packages and pricing that, you know, based on your needs, and we can definitely customize. So anyway, we want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to all our panelists. Thank you to everyone who joined us. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Hotel Council of San Francisco. And, you know, everyone have a great day. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was great to see all of you. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye for now.